Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask. It's Thursday, the 23rd day of July. It's Gorgeous Grandma Day. So, Heidi, you are gorgeous. You're not a grandma yet. But
no, I'm not a
someday, if our kids ever start dating anyone, we may be able to call you a gorgeous grandma as well.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, our son's in his 20s, our daughter's almost 20, and neither one of them are really interested in dating at all. So it's because we set such a great example, apparently. I don't know what happened. National Vanilla Ice Cream Day today. And there's a lot of people who that's their favorite flavor. You got bazillions of flavors. There's all kinds of flavors of ice cream. But it's still the number one, always vanilla. And today's the day for that. National Refreshment Day today as well. And National Intern Day today. And kind of worked out perfectly because our Dear John letter today is actually about a person who wants to become an intern. So kind of cool. Going to be chatting about that later in the program. But all of those things happening on this Thursday. You can chime in, by the way, on our Dear John letter right now if you'd like at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Many people have dabbled in the stock market for their very first time ever this year. If you're new to the market, but you don't want to learn things the hard way and the expensive way, I encourage you to subscribe to this free newsletter. You can get the inside track with Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com. Subscribe for free. If you change your mind, just unsubscribe. Sign up for free right now at marketbeatminute.com. That's marketbeatminute.com. Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. A survey by Lisa Sleep. So it's Leesa. Am I saying that right, Lisa?
Probably.
Found that 7 in 10 adults are more tired than ever. Survey blames it on people binge-watching shows late at night and not getting enough sleep. I can certainly relate to that.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons when we're skipping through Netflix, and you just told me we also have Hulu. We didn't know that, but you said that we were being billed for it.
You're still paying for it. Yeah.
We should probably start watching that or get rid of it. And then we also have Amazon Prime. So we got too many of these things. But when I'm skipping through the one we use most is Netflix, and I'll say, oh, wow, this looks really good. Then I'll see 6 seasons. I'm like, nope, never mind. Not interested.
Yeah. We really should get rid of Hulu. We're paying for that every month.
And anytime I see something that's a series, it's so tough to get me dragged into it because of this very reason. I'm always concerned we're going to stay up late binge watching stuff. So now you know. I've got a link to the story, by the way, if you want to read all about it. It's in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
Some credit cards have really high rates or big annual fees. Usually, people sign up for these when it's all they qualify for. If that sounds like you, it may be time to get a better credit card. Over time, your situation changes, and you may qualify for a better credit card. Your current card hopes you don't think about it, but our site shows you many options to see if there's a better credit card for you. Check it out for free at bettercreditcards.com. That's bettercreditcards.com.
This is your Brain on Drugs, brought to you by TimeForRehab.com. An Owensboro, Kentucky man claims that he used mushrooms with Jesus and that they were playing virtual reality video games together. 41-year-old John Stephanopoulos is facing several charges after deputies said they found him naked on a burglary in progress. They responded to a call of a naked man running down the road, hitting vehicles that were passing. Deputies responded. They said that they advised them that there was a burglary in progress at a home and he was running from it. They saw the naked man in the home and he took off. He ignored their comments to get to the ground. When they finally had a chance to talk to him, that's when he said they had to tase the man. That caused him to fall to the ground. When they finally had a chance to talk to him, he said, yeah, I was using mushrooms and playing video games with Jesus.
Well, of course he was.
There you go. Well, I'm glad Jesus was involved because I think this guy needs a little more of him in his life. That's what happens when your brain is on drugs.
John and Heidi.
Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com. Now, a moment ago, we were talking about Netflix, a little bit ago, and they're now testing out a new shuffle button for viewers who cannot decide what to watch. So that's kind of an interesting idea. So you could click a little thing and it'll like shuffle it up and say, what do you think of these things now?
Huh.
So, I don't know. If there was one that, it could just say, hey, you're probably going to like this, just watch it. Because there are times that we've skipped over something and not watched it for a long time. And then finally I'll go, you know what, let's give that a whirl. And I go, wow, that really was good. Netflix
Usually
has been telling me
I'm
for a
not
long time
liking
we
the
should
stuff
watch it.
that they recommend, but
Yeah, I don't know. Viacom.
probably because they're recommending stuff based off of your viewing habits.
Yeah,
And we
that's
have
exactly.
very different tastes.
That's
and-
exactly what's going on. It's like somebody in this household is really weird. Yeah, that's me. That's me. She's my wife, by the way. Viacom confirmed that they have let Nick Cannon go after his anti-Semitic remarks on his podcast. And I know he's got another program where he's taking a sabbatical right now. So a lot of stuff going on over there. And Tyra Banks has been named the new host of Dancing with the Stars. So Tom Bergeron is no longer the host of that. So a lot of stuff happening in the world. Thanks for listening to this version or this episode of Big Screen, Little Screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com.
We're here to make it better.
If you find that drug or alcohol problems are hitting you too close to home, you can get help. Maybe it's time for rehab. Your insurance may even cover everything. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. Get help for a drug or alcohol problem within 24 hours.
We're here to make it better.
Get more information at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Now your scoop of the day comes your way, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com, a marijuana company started by Instagram Playboy. How do you become an Instagram Playboy?
I have no idea.
Apparently he's famous through Instagram and he's a Playboy. I don't know. Anyway, Dan Bilzerian, he burned through $50 million last year. His marijuana company did. $50 million. It's a lot of... For those of you who don't know, that's a lot of dollars.
Wow.
A lot of dollars. 50 million of them. Baby name ideas. Most common question women ask during pregnancy, followed by, how big is the baby? The study conducted by OnePoll found a typical mom-to-be will ask 4 different questions every day while they're expecting. There was over 1,000 people in total that were no, I don't know, more than 1,000 in total.
You mean questions that they ask the doctor when they're in there for their appointments?
I don't know.
It must be, because who else would they ask? How
I think maybe
big is the baby?
Google? I don't know. I'm not sure. I have no idea. Or maybe that's questions they're asked. I'm very confused by all of this. I'm going to move on. Once again, swearing does help tolerate pain, according to a study by Keele University. They say when you shout out a naughty word after hitting your thumb with a hammer or something, it says it increases your pain tolerance by up to a third. So there you go. The 132nd Tournament of Roses Parade, usually broadcast on NBC, ABC, Hallmark Channel, and Univision, will not take place January of next year because of the pandemic. First time, by the way, in 75 years that this parade has been canceled. The last time was what, Heidi? Do you remember?
I do not.
It was
9/11?
World War II. So between 75 years, you thought 9/11 was 75 years ago? No. World War II.
First time. I thought you meant this was the second time in 75 years.
No. So the second time, the first time in 75 years that they've not had it, last time was because of World War II. So from 1942 to 1945, they didn't do this parade. 3 Spirit Airline employees were beaten in a violent melee after a flight was delayed from Florida to Philadelphia. Does anyone really think it's interesting that it was from Florida? Judge set bail for the attackers at $1,000. So this could have been my fake news or Florida story. So 3 employees were beaten in a violent attack when people were leaving Florida going to Philadelphia. I think that's just crazy. And a California, I don't know that I like this. There's more and more stories with this. A California Karen, in parentheses, or quotations, who berated a Starbucks barista. We talked about the story. Who wouldn't serve her without a mask. Remember that? And then the employee got a bunch of tips totaling over $100,000 in donations that were raised for him. Sure. Now, she, the one who is being referred to as a Karen from California, she's demanding half of that money be given to her.
Yeah, good luck with that, sweet
You should give that to me. I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Why don't you just sit down, Karen.
Yeah, would you stop it? Let's not perpetuate the Karen thing. I know a lot of Karens that are awesome, by the way, so I think we should just be really careful.
I know a lot of them that aren't.
Oh, boy. Thank you for listening to your Scoop of the Day on the John and Heidi Show.
Do you pay too much for insurance? Have you looked around? Or are you too chicken? Don't be afraid to look around to see if you can find a better deal at InsuranceChicken.com. We make it super simple for you to see rates from several different companies, to see what they have to offer, all in one place. Heck out great insurance deals at InsuranceChicken.com. Is it time for you to cross the road? See if we can save you money each month at InsuranceChicken.com. That's InsuranceChicken.com.
And it's time right now for Dear John Letters. All right, Heidi, I almost feel like we've answered this letter in the past. And I wonder if that's why, because in here, this young lady's saying that her mother said to send this. I'll bet that's why, Mom, because I'm almost positive we had this same question a couple years ago. But
Okay.
we'll do it again because I'm not sure. And even if we did, she's asking anyway. So here we go. Dear John, I'm heading back to college soon, and I've already moved. I decided to get here early so I could get a job. So far, I've not been able to find a job. So I thought, well, maybe I'll apply for an internship. I've not heard back from any of the places I've applied. I was talking to my mom. She suggested that I send you a letter to see if you could help, maybe give some advice. What can I do to get a better chance at getting an internship or even a job signed, ready to work? Do you remember talking about this one other time?
I do not.
I do, because I remember. First of all, thank you very much for the letter, and also thank you to your mom for telling you to send a letter. I remember having this discussion, and I don't know, maybe we were talking about it on something else, but one of the things I would do, because it says right here, I've not heard back from any of the places I've applied. Don't wait to hear back. Reach out to them. We have a friend that he was going to law school, and when he was going to law school, he submitted paperwork like every other student that was going to law school with him to get an internship at a bunch of different places. And there was one that he really wanted to work at, and he had submitted the paperwork. And then it was like 4 or 5 days later, he reached out to them and said, hey, I want to follow up and see if that position has been filled, the internship. And they said it was just now. And he said, oh, okay. And they said, I need to get your name because we're hiring you. And he said, oh, really? And she said, yep, you're the only one that followed up with us. So there were hundreds of people who all applied for one open position. And because he was the only one to follow up, he actually got the position. Do you remember talking about this at all now?
I do. Oh, I remember talking to our friend.
Yeah. So, and I can tell you, I remember a few years back, we had a young man who reached out about an internship, and he was actually wanting to get into television, and he'd reached out to television stations and had gotten nowhere in getting an internship at a television station. And he reached out and asked if he could be an intern at the radio station because he was going to school for broadcasting. So he came in and talked to us, and when he talked to us, the whole time, it's hard for me to convey this over the radio, but he wouldn't make eye contact. So, while he was talking to me, he's like looking at the walls, and he's looking everywhere else. And then when he shook my hand, it was like a dead fish, limp handshake. And we didn't really have a good spot for him, but I said, here's one of the things I can probably help you with. And I taught him, here's how you do a handshake. And I shook his hand a little more firm. And I said, when you talk to somebody, look him in the eyes when you're talking to him. And just kind of gave him some advice on little things. These are little things, but
they're very important.
They are.
And following up is so important.
And the thing that was really cool, that young man, he and I are friends on Facebook now because of the time that he and I met there, and that's how he first reached out to me, was through Facebook. But he ended up getting not just an internship at a television station, but an actual job at a television station. When he got it, he sent me a message and said, thank you so much, because when I went in, he said, here's the cool thing. I went into the same place who wouldn't bring me on as an intern for free, and I nailed the interview because when I talked to them, I looked them in the eye, and I smiled, and I shook their hand.
Yeah,
and,
that's nice.
And it was just, those little tiny things. So I don't know what position you're looking for, but again, I'm sure that's probably why your mom thought to have you reach out to us, because she maybe remembers when we talked about that, even though Heidi doesn't for some reason.
I don't.
I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago, probably this same time of year as people are heading back. But if that is something that you're trying to do, trying to find a job, trying to find, in this case, an internship, eye contact makes so much. It's a huge thing. And then again, when you're shaking a hand, I don't think you need to be a bone crusher. Because I've had those. Have you ever had those?
Oh yeah.
Where they shake your hand way too hard?
Yeah, that's awful.
You don't want to do that either. But it's all about making a good first impression. One other time we had a young man come in who had tied his tie in just a knot. He didn't tie his tie like a tie. He tied it like in just like a farmer's knot and had it tucked in. We still worked with the guy, but I still can't. To this day, every time I think of him, I think of that. So you want to make a good first impression. So I don't know what more advice I can give. This, ladies and gentlemen, is where you come in. Can you give some advice to Ready to Work? You can do that on our Facebook page, and I would be forever grateful, and I bet her mother would, and I know she would as well. You can chime in with your advice right now at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Many people have dabbled in the stock market for their very first time ever this year. If you're new to the market, but you don't want to learn things the hard way and the expensive way, I encourage you to subscribe to this free newsletter. You can get the inside track with Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com. Subscribe for free. If you change your mind, just unsubscribe. Sign up for free right now at marketbeatminute.com. That's marketbeatminute.com. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Vending machines are bigger threats to humanity than sharks. Yeah, you're twice as likely to be killed by a vending machine than you are by a shark, according to a New England aquarium. They said that people have more issues, trying to get a snack out of a vending machine and it tips over on them or whatever the case may be than ever being attacked by a shark. But when you think about it, how often are you really around sharks compared to how often are you around a vending machine?
And how many people do you see tipping those vending machines back and forth
have you
trying
ever
to
seen
get
that, by the way?
stuff to come out?
Oh, I've seen it. Have you ever seen that? I had one where this is an office building that we were in a while back. There were some ladies that got something stuck, and they come over to me like, hey, can you help me out? And of course I want to help. So I walk over there like, can you just tip this forward? This thing's stuck there. I'm like, I don't think we should do that. Like, I don't want to break this vending machine.
No, you don't want to break and you don't want it to fall forward.
But they look at me, they're like, you're
that.
a big guy, you can help me with that. I'm like, yeah, just because I'm a fat guy doesn't mean I know how to shake a Snickers out of a vending machine. I'm just saying. This has been today's Fun Fact.
Some credit cards have really high rates or big annual fees. Usually, people sign up for these when it's all they qualify for. If that sounds like you, it may be time to get a better credit card. Over time, your situation changes, and you may qualify for a better credit card. Your current card hopes you don't think about it, but our site shows you many options to see if there's a better credit card for you. Check it out for free at bettercreditcards.com. That's bettercreditcards.com.
Now, a news headline from somewhere in this world, Dateline Japan. I just got to tell you ahead of time, this sounds very disgusting to me. Japanese doctors removed a throat worm from a woman's tonsils.
Ew.
This is an actual worm that was living in her tonsils.
Ew.
They cause the bacteria that come from from contaminated fish. So they're caused by that. If you have contaminated fish, you could get a throat worm.
Oh.
There are, believe it or not, 700 throat worm cases per year.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm having trouble swallowing just thinking of
So
it.
is this from raw fish?
Yeah, well, it was
sushi and...
I don't know. It was bacteria that comes from contaminated fish. So I don't know, like, if you cook your fish all the way, if that would have killed this. I'm assuming. I have no idea. I've got a link to the story if you want to read all about it. I would rather you click on this link and read it than Google throat worm, because I'm afraid you'd probably find... I'm not going to Google it. Thanks for listening to a news headline from somewhere in this world.
We're here to make it better.
If you find that drug or alcohol problems are hitting you too close to home, you can get help. Maybe it's time for rehab. Your insurance may even cover everything. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. Get help for a drug or alcohol problem within 24 hours.
We're here to make it better.
Get more information at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Now some weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. Everybody's favorite Tiger King star and animal activist Carol Baskin is in the news. She fell prey to a comedian's prank. So if you want to have her record a video, you can have her do it through a thing called Cameo.
Okay.
And we actually have a friend that used that.
Yeah.
And I went on there because I was watching. I was like, why would you have Carol Baskin? And I asked him, he goes, I just thought it would be really funny.
Right.
Well, these guys did too. So she's kind of the arch nemesis of Joe Exotic from Tiger King documentary. And there's a lot of people who are not big fans of her. Anyway, she made a little birthday wish to Rolf Harris. And she said on there, your kids want to get together and tell you that you really touched them and they love you, all that you've done for them. Anyway, here's the thing. She didn't know who this was. It was a comedian, Tom Armstrong, that was behind the practical joke. This gentleman that she's talking about is no gentleman. Rolf Harris is a sexual predator, notorious sexual predator. and did all kinds of terrible things in Australia. So he hired her to do this video saying wonderful things about this guy, which, again, she didn't know who it was. So
not saying wonderful things if he's saying the children are saying you really touched them.
Yeah. So that's that. Anyway, it was a prank.
Right.
It was, at the end of the day, it was supposed to be funny. Probably was funny, but made some big news. And I've got a link to the story. It's in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh, brought to you by InsuranceChicken.com. According to a court filing, a gender reveal party ended with a mother-to-be getting punched in the face.
Oh, boy.
By her boyfriend's brother.
Oh.
So I'm trying to keep all this straight here. It says here, he was arrested, by the way, on a felony charge of battering a pregnant woman. Police say 27-year-old Marshall Richardson was a guest at a family party. And that's when the brother... Richardson's brother and the 20-year-old girlfriend, who is 6 months pregnant, they were the ones throwing the party. During the party, police say an argument began. Said Richardson told subjects to stop smoking around the kids. After the pregnant woman became upset and called Richardson names, Richardson got in a fight with the brother. When the siblings were separated, the pregnant woman again called Richardson names, and that's when he punched her in the face.
Oh, my.
At a gender reveal party for her. Richardson was arrested for aggravated battery, a felony, and booked into the county jail. This whole thing sounds, I don't know, could have been our weird news. Instead, it's today's moment of duh.
Do you pay too much for insurance? Have you looked around? Or are you too chicken? Don't be afraid to look around to see if you can find a better deal at InsuranceChicken.com. We make it super simple for you to see rates from several different companies, to see what they have to offer, all in one place. Heck out great insurance deals at InsuranceChicken.com. Is it time for you to cross the road? See if we can save you money each month at InsuranceChicken.com. That's InsuranceChicken.com.
Time now for fake news or Florida. Heidi, tell me, is this a true story from the great state of Florida, or is it fake news made up to trick you and amuse me? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Fake news or Florida? An Orlando woman was arrested after she grabbed her husband by the man part so forcefully that he couldn't walk. Fake news or Florida?
I'll say Florida.
Yeah, you know it was true, because I wouldn't. If it was fake news, I would have never said that. And would you guys quit sending me these things? It's like the third time in the last week, and it's a naughty story. I think they're doing it just to see if I'll share it, and I probably should quit doing that. But anyway, it's the only one I had today, so that's why I did. If you have some good fake news stories that you can make up, or if you find a real story from the great state of Florida that you think would be a fun one that might be able to get past Heidi over here, you can submit those to us through our website at the bottom of the page at johnandheidishow.com.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news. And tell you what, Heidi, I think this is good news. Comes your way courtesy of BetterCreditCards.com. And I think this is just a really, really cool story. It kind of reminds me of a movie, and I'll see if you can remember the movie, but it was a little different in the movie. So here's the headline. Struggling single mom donates lottery winnings to an officer shot in the line of duty. So a single mother in Kansas donated her $100 lottery winnings to an officer shot in the line of duty. Aww. Kansas City Police Department has returned the favor and raised more than $14,000 for the woman and her family. So she had $7 to her name. She had bills past due.
Wow.
And Sherta Sims, a single mother who lost her job a month ago because of the pandemic, found a $1 bill in a grocery store parking lot. She used that to buy a scratch-off ticket, won $100. Her 12-year-old daughter suggested they donate the money to a Kansas City police officer who was shot in the line of duty on July 2nd. The officer was still in intensive care when all this happened. It says here, she won $100, and I said we should donate it to a police officer, the guy that was shot. You know, donate to his family so they can go eat and they can go see him. Despite their financial struggles, they did something nice for someone else. By the way, her oldest sister was murdered in Kansas City back in 2012. She said the detectives were there for us. They were there for us more than anyone.
That is
I can imagine.
Awesome.
They did things they didn't have to do. They came to see the kids. They did a lot of things. They were fathers. They were therapists. They were everything. And she said, I never see the empathy that they gave us from strangers. They gave us hope. They were good to us. Sims called the department later that day and made this $100 donation. And like I said, the cool thing is the police found out a little more about what was going on here, and they set up a GoFundMe, and they raised a bunch of money for this young lady who was in a tight spot. Over $23,000. I see when I click on it now. So at the time the story was read, it was written rather. The amount was $14,000, so it's almost doubled in just
amazing.
a short amount of time.
I absolutely love that story.
I have a link to the story. I have a link to all of the details in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to The John and Heidi Show.